Okay, this is my fourth time to try and start this thing. I wasn't getting any volume with the microphones for whatever reason. Let's investigate a rather unique um, aspect pattern. And the aspect pattern is called a kite. See this blue line? This is a blue grand trine here. And trine aspects mean that those planets are in the same element, in this case, air. And this part here is called a mini trine. It's made up of two sextiles and one of the trine legs. But as well, when planets are in sextile, they are speaking in a dialogue that actually has a harmonious aspect to it. Of course, one other part of the kite is this very strong opposition that's taking place here. And this is Sunday, this is today. And I'm just basically going to move the chart ahead to Thursday. On Thursday, Mars moves into Libra and moves into a more exact opposition to Saturn, a more, and technically I could go the next day to Friday when Mars gets to 1 degree, I think. Let's see. Yeah, 1 degree. We'll go with that. 1 degree, 1 degree of Libra in opposition to 1 degree of Saturn and 1 degree of Virgo, and very close to the 2 degrees of Pisces and the 1 degree of Uranus. Now, the the energy of a kite, it it sits right on the edge, we'll call it, of a consideration that, some might say it's a faded kind of thing. Well, I don't lean so much toward faded. It's the kite, a potent aspect in that it means that something has to be resolved in relation to that opposition that's taking place. And this particular opposition between Mars and Libra, not exactly its most comfortable position because it's in a sign that is opposite from the one that it rules, which is, oh, by the way, over there with that Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So there's an affinity of energy that Mars represents to both Saturn and Neptune over there in its own sign or the sign that it rules. But we have to really make sure to infuse this kite aspect with who are the players that are, doing this particular dance. We'll start out with Mars in Libra. And Mars is it's a transformational kind of energy in the sense that it has a lot of drive to it. There's that impulse to want to, to do something. And then you get to, and so there's our Mars, that transformational energy. And Pluto up here in the trine to it, well, that's something that's total transformation, day, night, life, death, the energy of culmination that takes place, uh, and not to be seen so much as the uh, ending consideration of what's taking place there, but a transition in the fact that something is being terminated in a fashion so that there is space for something else to be present. a new moment, if you will. And so, and then we come down here to Uranus. Oh, what does Uranus have to say? Something about creativity and change. Yeah, that covers Uranus real well because Uranus it wants to shake things up. It might get bored if something were just kind of a repetition. Yeah, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this over and over and over again. Uranus says, "Oh, well, wait a second. I'm not comfortable with that idea of repetition. And so I'm going to rattle the cage just a wee bit harder than you might be comfortable with so that you're not, stuck in a place that, isn't going to allow change to transpire. Yeah, that's Uranus at work. So you get these, and they're all in air signs. So our thinking processes, error is a very much of a mental tool. Our thinking processes are tuning into this air element, and there's change afoot, definitely change afoot. And Mars over there in Libra in the sign that has to do with what's the experience going to be when you engage with others? Keep that in mind because that's part of this opposition here between the Saturn Neptune in retrograde that are in the beginning of Aries heading back toward Pisces that are in these sextiles to the Pluto and Uranus signature. How do we get to the point where we can deal with this potential conflict between Aries, I mean, between Mars, the ruler of Aries, and between this Saturn and Neptune signature that are right there at the very, very beginning of Aries. Saturn, in some sense, can represent some level of transcendence. It's a structural factor that always is in play, but in one sense, tied in with this kite dance that's going on in opposition to Mars, it's like something needs to change. And transcendence is a term that says that there's another level of the process that's afoot here that needs to be incorporated into the answer. And you throw Neptune in there, Neptune, a level of kind of unlimited creativity of what it is that's possible, or might even say call it a metamorphosis of something that is in the process of trying to tune you in to the fibers of how things are stitched together in a different fashion than just simply at the physical level, and this is a bit of a challenge right now because we're talking Saturn, which is, very tuned into the physical side of experience and structure and form, and Neptune, which is the formless, that ability to create out of nothing. That's not really it because it's creating out of something. It's it could be considered nothing from the version of it doesn't fit into this idea of what it is that life should be about according to the structures that, society says this is important. Well, from Neptune's standpoint, is it? Hmm. I wonder on that one. As I look at this particular aspect that's taking place. That Mars opposite Saturn and Neptune across the horizon line. It's not really the rising sign, but it's a signal that I have to, kind of step back and view a larger context within which this is being born. You know, it it's a long range aspect in the sense that it has been forming now for a week and will continue to be essentially something to pay attention to over the next week or maybe 2 weeks. Uh, because that early degree of Libra, where Mars is basically it's going to be the focus. And when anything goes over it, and the next things that are going to be going over it will probably be, I'm not exactly sure right now, because it's going to stay in the aspect thing. I think the next aspect will be the full moon that takes place later on in the month. Oh, no. Oop, excuse me. Full moon is also this week. Wait, what am I thinking about? Of course, full moon's approaching. This is going to be Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. I spent a good part of the latter part of this week getting prepared for a uh, a festival that my son plays drums for a musical group called Kalen Wolf and the Shift, and uh, it's it has a very strong family nature to it, and festivals, by the way, festivals are definitely family kind of orientation. Uh, and what I was doing was helping my son initially put together a large portion of pulled pork to be able to be served at the meals. Because this, it's a family kind of thing. There's a lot of input and participation by a lot of different people in this process. I'm going to turn down my volume. Uh, and the reason I'm turning down my volume is I'm going to play you just a bit of, actually, I'm going to play you the newest song that this band has put out with my son's expertise as, the one who is doing the recording and making it available to the world. And this experience that takes place in this video I took yesterday while I was there at the concert is going to give you a flavor of
I can be the change today, the one I'd like to see. I can be the change today. It's like an every life thinking everyone needs to be the change that I wanna see in the world. There's energy that I wanna see everybody else be. This hypocrisy must take its last swing. Everybody sing, we don't need none of that nonsense. Instead we're stepping into well springs, we could be releasing anything manifesting love as we thaw out. I can be the change today, when I'd like to see. I can be the change today, when I'd like to see. I can be the change today, when I'd like to see. I can be the change today, when I'd like to see. And I can see all other people living in peace. And I see all other people singing in harmony. I tell you what I don't see. I don't see a bunch of people telling me the only way to be is just like them. If the one was just like me, can you imagine just how strange the world would be? I can be the change today, the one I'd like to see. I can be the change Be patient with your brothers and your sisters, cause everyone's doing their best. Be patient with yourself, don't forget to drink water and get your rest. Cause every single step you take, the biggest differences can make. Just do it all that children say. Do it once again. I can be the change today. Why not like to see? I can be the change today. Why not like to see? I can be the change today. Why not like to see? I can be the change today. Why not like to see? And I can be the change today. Why not like to see? And I can be the change today. Why not like to see? I can be the change today. Why not like to see? I can be the change today. The one I'd like to be.
You can get the feel, from that kind of an experience of the family nature. Everybody's involved, and the energy of exchange that's taking place is absolutely magical. And it's that same uh, invitation that my sense is that this kite aspect that I was just bringing your attention to is asking us, are we tuned in with each other enough to be able to use these transformative energies that are present right now to live into an enhanced and different version of this experience of being on planet Earth right now that is so, so needed as far as what kind of energy are we sharing with one another? Not that, you know, everything being separate from everything else. No, 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 not. There is time, there's place. There are people that are actually working together. And the words in this particular song that these guys have come up with for presentation into the world, which, by the way, on August 1st, at the beginning of this weekend, they released that song. It's available out there on a lot of different platforms. And my son, playing the drums in the background of that video, is having way too good a time. As he should. It's just the dynamic energy of that kind of music, and it gets you up and it gets you moving. You can't just sit around and do and do nothing. Oh no, it's an invitation, be the change today. And that's kind of this kite sitting there in a format. Is it a fate? Is it an opportunity that maybe we need to wake up to something that we've been ignoring? Think about that. Anyway, on the 17th, let's go back to our chart again, just for a little quick look. On the 17th, yeah, 17 degrees. On the 9th, the next day, Saturday, we have a full moon that's taking place at 17 degrees of Aquarius. Now, we began this particular lunar cycle at 2 degrees of Leo in opposition to Pluto retrograde up here at 2 degrees of Aquarius. And so the intent of what we're had the opportunity anyway to ask as a focus or a direction to consider for this lunar cycle had that Leonian quality, which is taking chances, gambling, if you were. It's playful. It has to do with romance and the energy of you know, being present out in front of whatever kind of audience is available to you. Well, the Sabian symbol for this particular full moon reads like this: a man's secret motives are being publicly unmasked. And the keynote: the difficulty for the modern individual to keep secret his private past or his deeper motives. I will ask you to really listen very closely to the long litany of celestial chatters that I've been putting out since 2018. I do have a deeper motive in the use of this astrological tool, and that is to awaken each of us to what our souls, that deep inner core part of us, actually came here on earth to present in some form of a gift to being here conjoined with other human beings as part of a scenario that each of us has brought to awaken a very dynamic and interchanging kind of energy that we have to share with one another. And that is the soul. That's that thing. And I don't know that I could really say that I'm trying to hide it. I'm trying to actually live it with every aspect of my being as a reminder to awaken in you that same soul awareness that is awakening in me as part of the natural living cycle. Let's see. Oh, good. I did turn my volume back up. What is the key phrase? Unmasking. So, there, I just unmasked myself. It's a soul dance. I'm into the soul dance. We all are. But did you know it? You know, astrology is a tool, and as such, can be used in a lot of different ways. I prefer to see it as a way to unmask, if you will, the version of soul awareness that we glean. Actually, we came with, but we glean through the use of tools like astrology to remind us of the larger picture of energy that we are a part of. Guess what? That's all I got for this week. See you all next week.